Have you ever wondered how construction estimates are made? Well, it's not magic or wild guesswork, but a meticulous process that involves several steps. So let's demystify this process together. Firstly, it starts with understanding the project scope. This involves reviewing the project plans and specifications and visiting the construction site to understand the working conditions and any site-specific requirements. Next, the estimator needs to quantify the materials and labor required for the project. This includes creating a detailed takeoff of all the necessary materials and calculating the amount of labor needed based on the project timeline. Once the quantities are determined, the estimator needs to assign costs to each item. This involves researching current market prices for materials and labor rates, as well as factoring in any additional costs such as equipment rentals or subcontractor fees. After all the costs are calculated, the estimator needs to compile them into a comprehensive estimate. This includes organizing the costs into different categories, such as materials, labor, equipment, and overhead, and creating a detailed breakdown of each cost item. Finally, the estimator needs to review and finalize the estimate. This involves double-checking all the calculations, ensuring that all costs are accounted for, and making any necessary adjustments based on the project requirements or client preferences. And there you have it. A behind-the-scenes look at how construction estimates are made. It's a complex and detailed process that requires expertise and attention to detail, but it's essential for ensuring accurate and competitive pricing in the construction industry. Next comes the quantity takeoff, where the quantities of materials, labor, and equipment required for each item of work are measured from the plans. This can be done manually or with the help of software. After this, you'll start soliciting vendor quotes. It's important to contact multiple suppliers and subcontractors for quotes on materials and specialized labor. And remember, always ensure they cover the same scope of work. Once you have the quotes, you can estimate the materials costs by using the quantity takeoffs. Don't forget to include delivery charges, waste factors, and storage costs if applicable. Now, it's time to estimate labor costs. Determine the number of labor hours needed for each task and calculate the labor costs by multiplying the labor hours by the wage rates. The sixth step involves estimating equipment costs. Identify the equipment needed for the project and calculate costs based on rental rates, operating costs, and operator wages. Next, apply indirect costs to your estimate. These include overhead costs such as office expenses, utilities, and administrative salaries. Once you have all these figures, you can calculate the profit and contingency. Decide on the profit margin to apply to the estimate and add a contingency amount for unforeseen circumstances or risks. After all this, you have to review and finalize the estimate. Check for any missed items or miscalculations. Finalize the estimate and prepare the bid proposal. The 10th step is the bid submission. Compile the estimate and all necessary bid documents and submit the bid proposal before the deadline. And finally, after the bid submission, if the bid is successful, you transition the estimate into a budget for project management. If not, you review the estimations and the bidding process for future improvements. But remember, the accuracy of a construction estimate is critical as it forms the basis for the project's financial planning and bid submission. It requires attention to detail and a thorough understanding of construction processes. So there you have it, the intricate process of construction estimating broken down into clear, easy to follow steps. From understanding the project scope to post-bid submission, each step is crucial for the successful execution of any construction project. Keep in mind, continuous learning, using the right tools, and keeping detailed documentation are the keys to perfecting this process. Happy building!